So yeah, you've got to be able to grieve. To get on the same page was really interesting for us. Andrew took a lot longer to get his head around what the grade 1 teacher said, whereas when I was talking to her, and I guess I did most of the early communications, I was in the classroom doing the reading, so I got to connect a bit more. I was starting to grieve and to accept it a lot quicker. So it did take a while for us to get on the same page, to be able to even talk about it, and to then accept, and then to go to the doctor, and then, you know, like even telling our friends around us, you know, places that we go to, we're connected to church, so actually telling other people that, you know, our boy is a bit different and at times he doesn't understand, and, you know, that's hard to communicate with other people. You don't know how they're going to receive you. You don't know if they're going to say it's because you're a bad parent. You know that it's nothing that you've done with your parenting. You know that it's your child, and just how they are. But accepting other people, it's not an easy world. Telling your family, when your family, especially our family, haven't even been in the same town, so to tell them they're not even seeing our boys, so that they've not journeyed. So all of those things are quite difficult to do. So it's not an easy road. Yeah, but it just takes time to get your head around.
But I think the experience was. Yeah, the experience wasn't all that easy, but I think once I made up my mind anyway that this was going to be helpful for him, because I couldn't see the point for a while, but there was probably 12 months where I thought, yeah, okay, this could be real, but I couldn't see the point for a while, because what was the point of just putting him in a box? What was the point of, you know, ticking a box and saying, oh, he's Aspergers or autistic or whatever, and, you know, that there not being any benefit for that. So I had to see that there was, you know, he was going to be able to get something out of it. Yeah. There was going to be some extra help, or teachers were going to be able to have better strategies, or I don't know. I had to believe that there was some reason for going through the process of having him diagnosed.
It's not an excuse for lazy parenting, and we didn't want him to be labelled as, oh, he's got Asperger's, so, you know, you don't have to correct him or whatever. No, we want a child that has manners. We want a child that fits into society. So it actually means that we have to work a lot harder to connect with him, so that we can see that he doesn't step over other people emotionally.
Yeah. And actually the outcome was not only extra aid time, but through the IEP process, we were able to sit down and, you know, every 6 months or so with a special needs teacher, with his classroom teacher, with ourselves and an aide, and actually know that we're all on the same page and working towards the same things, and particularly in regards to his social skills and aims for, you know, his academic performance and so on. Well, that was actually really helpful, because we could be working on the same things at home, and if you saw him do something at home that you'd been told about at school that he was struggling with, instead of it just being, oh, that was a bit odd and a one-off, you're able to address it, and
it was far more effective that way. And we did see some great changes emotionally. Bullies was a big issue. Sam kind of had written over his head, pick on me, I'm different. And so physically he really suffered. There, one particular occasion, one kid had picked him up and had him pinned against the wall with his hands around his throat. And that was horrific. That is so aggressive. So we had to deal with this kind of behaviour of, how do you stop yourself looking like pick on me? I don't know if we've completely overcome that. So far so good, but yeah.
I think, yeah, we have seen a huge advancement in those areas. So.
Yeah, he's a very confident boy. He you know, like going to high school, he was so confident. And then I think it's because we've been in his corner saying, mate, you can do it. And he's had this beautiful support system at school. So teachers can make a tremendous difference, and especially if you can get on the same page with parents, if you can do that. Yeah, your kids can really just blossom.
Yeah, the only thing I would add in regards to teachers and even ourselves is actually being aware of all those little sayings that we use. Like it's, I'll eat my hat. that's just rubbish. And
So many of them.
yeah, there's hundreds and hundreds of them that actually have to be explained individually.
Yes.
And once they understand, okay, that's a saying and this is what it means, that's fine.
They're
but
right.
but if they've not heard that saying, and they can't manually process that's what that saying is and this is what it means, then they'll often miss the meaning, misunderstand the meaning of what you said. And so I think teachers need to be aware of that.
The other thing we haven't said is routine. Routine is so significant. Everything that he does, he needs to know. Now, I happen to be a pretty organised mum as a little boy. Morning tea was at 10 o'clock and lunch was at 12 and then you went down to bed. I just did that because that was how I was taught by my mum. And that was the best thing in the world for him. And the classroom is completely the same. He really does like to know when he gets to school, this is where he puts his bag, this is where he goes now, that routine. And so if there's a fire drill, if there's something different, he needs to be told, hey, this is what's going to happen today, so he can switch his head on and go with it. He's actually very adaptable. We are a family that is very busy. Our life is fluid and he steps up to the mark. He can do it. But he does need to be told life is going to be changing and this is how. And once he's got it flipped in his head, we're right.
And that's an issue for teachers because with one autistic kid, it will, if you tell them what's happening in advance, that can be really helpful. But then if it changes, that can be really stressful. So oftentimes you need to think about it. And sometimes I know I've worked with a few primary school teachers. When the kid comes to them in the morning and says, what are we doing today? They actually say, look, I'm not able to tell you all the details, but here are some of the things we might be doing. Because if they tell them all the details and then it changes, then that's an extra stress. So
that's the same with us. If we have something happening and we promise that we will go somewhere in 2 weeks' time, we better do what we said in 2 weeks' time. Oh my goodness. He will remind us and he will remind us and he will remind us. This was the commitment we made. So you actually have to be a person of your word. And if you can't be a person of your word, you've actually got to say, all right, there is a change and you really have to address it. You can't just kind of say, oh, it'll sort itself out. You really have to be very specific and intentional in how you communicate.
We're not able to do that, and this is the reason why.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's good.
Anything else?